I was told to deliver this message.
You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll fight for my brothers. We can go to war. Fight for my father, I will give my life for. After so alone in this white man's world, put it in the kitchen, watch that fight turn. Standing on the corner, standing on my phone, standing with my gangsters, but I'm standing on my own. If you got to be alone, live you like you be alone. Sacrifice my life, understanding these zones. Toast to the keys of success. Bare rolls on my breath. I've been a student since 03, and we can fight till we see peace.
Let me holla at you, get you game. Real sweat, blood on my open bang. Trigger happy, and everybody in the game. You shot your family, and you didn't know no same rules, same code, with a different slang. Struggling up, let it keep my pinky train. Mama don't cry, we gon' get by. 2 weeks later, got killed in the truck. We want each one another. I see trying to fight when it's in class. Yes,
Watching the warriors, the story of the rebels. From the ghetto, did you know never settle? I'm super common on the streets, I'm a pharaoh. Battling in African American apparel. This on a t-shirt, youngest doing street work. Grinding till they teeth hurt, that's because they need work. Working till the feet hurt, trying to get my soul right. Used to be a old bike, serving them that cold white. In the winter, the block is hot in summer. Today is mathematics, we know it's the numbers of the bosses and the runners, the hustlers and the stunners. We fight for the hundreds, we fight for the wonders.
He fights with the heat. He fights with the sleet. He said, I am who I am. I can't be beat. Nobody has won a war against me.
Yes, sir. That's your comment.
All of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many, and the poor, and the sick, and the weak, and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life, then it is easy for another human being
to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to abuse of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. The government is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away, they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does. And the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that you're killing black youth and brown youth and not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's word is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace, under real freedom, real justice, and real equality.
Ready for Revolution, and welcome, Brother Eric Teray Muhammad here. Hope you can hear me. I understand there was a bad echo, some feedback that came through the line, but all that'll be taken care of in a minute. We want to welcome you to another edition of Classes in Session. This is a special edition of Classes in Session, and you will see why and hear why in just a moment. So please, you still got a little time to share it out and let people know that class is in session. I want to thank all of you for chiming in, all the wealth builders, all the leaders worldwide that are here in this momentous and historic occasion, because we have an opportunity to correct an ill in society. We have an opportunity to share with the world a healing balm. And we know that we have it. We understand the dynamics and the dilemmas, and we've been through enough to qualify to have that moral authority, that right to bring about a true and balanced solution to today's crises. So I want to thank all of you and welcome all of you to our wealth building event here, which is Classes in Session. We air every Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. This is what I call affectionately before freedom hours. I call it before freedom hours, and clearly all of you are very committed to what you do because you're here at 8 a.m. All right. Before freedom hours means that when I was on the plantation or when I was working before freedom, I was always up 2 hours or so before to make sure I was there to pick my cotton. Oh, excuse me. I mean, to clock in, work my job. Well, in that time frame, I had to prepare myself, all this preparation to go and do for others what I could do for myself. And so when I started gaining the tenets of wealth building and understanding the power of freedom, you know, that which you'll be hearing of today, when I understood that, I started to finance my freedom. And little by little, I whittled my way from 90 hours a week to 1 to 2 days a week to never showing up again. All right. So here's the thing. How do you reclaim your time? Time is the most precious of all the assets. As the seconds tick, it gets away. I have more hours behind me now than I have ahead of me. I have more life behind me now than I had ahead of me. The difference is I can now, like many of you, will be able to live life as opposed to just merely existing. So now, if I could dedicate myself during that mental slavery, that shackle of societal belonging, if I could dedicate myself to give someone 8 hours, 10 hours, 15, 20 hours of my day to move them forward, how much more willing am I to give myself the opportunity to work harder for me and mine to build my business as opposed to building a job? Family, we're about to move right on into this, and we're going to show you a little something before our esteemed guest comes on. He is here and in the building. Yes, sir. I'm talking about the dream chaser himself, Mr. Tyrone Best. Give us just one moment. We're going to show you a little something here that will aid us in our process.
This is Jamal. Jamal is a boy who lives in a poor neighborhood. He has a friend named Kevin who lives in a wealthy neighborhood. All of Jamal's neighbors are African American, and all of Kevin's neighbors are white. Because Jamal's school district is mostly funded by property taxes, his school is not very well funded. His classrooms are overcrowded, his teachers are underpaid, and he doesn't have access to high-quality tutors or extracurricular activities. Kevin's school district is also funded by property taxes, so his school is very well funded. His classrooms are never crowded, his teachers are very well paid, and he has access to high-quality tutors and lots of extracurricular activities. Kevin and Jamal live only a few streets away from each other. So how come they're growing up in such different worlds with such different opportunities for success? The answer has to do with America's history of systemic racism. To understand it better, let's look at what life was like for Kevin and Jamal's grandparents. Decades after the Civil War, many government agencies started to draw maps dividing cities into sections that were either desirable or undesirable for investment. This practice was called redlining, and it usually blocked off entire Black neighborhoods from access to private and public investment. Banks and insurance companies used these maps for decades to deny Black people loans and other services based purely on race. Historically speaking, owning a home and getting a college education is the easiest way for an American family to build wealth. But when Jamal's grandparents wanted to buy a house, the banks refused because they lived in a neighborhood that was redlined. So Jamal's grandparents were not able to buy a home, and because colleges could prevent them from attending through legal segregation, their options for higher education were really scarce. Kevin's grandparents, on the other hand, got a low-interest loan to buy their first house and got accepted into a handful of top universities, which traditionally only accepted white students. This opened up a wealth of opportunities that they were able to pass on to their kids and grandkids. Even as late as the 1980s, an investigation into the Atlanta real estate market showed that banks were more willing to lend to low-income white families than to middle or upper-income African-American families. As a result, today, for every $100 of wealth held by a white family, Black families have $5.04. A 2017 study confirms that redlining is still affecting home values in major cities like Chicago today. This explains how Kevin and Jamal inherited vastly different circumstances. Unfortunately, the story doesn't end there. A big part of systemic racism is implicit bias. These are prejudices in society that people are not aware that they have. Let's go back to Kevin and Jamal. Against all odds, Jamal manages to be the only student from his high school to get accepted into a great university, the same one that Kevin and his high school friends are attending. But after Kevin and Jamal both graduate, Jamal notices that his resume isn't drawing as much interest as Kevin's, even though they graduated from the same program with the exact same GPA. Unfortunately for Jamal, studies show that resumes with white-sounding names get twice as many callbacks as identical resumes with Black-sounding names. Implicit bias is one of the reasons why the Black unemployment rate is twice the rate of white unemployment, even among college graduates today. You can see evidence of systemic racism in every area of life. The disparities in family wealth, incarceration rates, political representation, and education are all examples of systemic racism. Unfortunately, the biggest challenge with systemic racism is that there's no single person or entity responsible for it, which makes it very hard to solve. So what can you do? The first thing you can do is work towards becoming more aware of your own implicit biases. What are some prejudices that you might hold that you're not aware of? Second, let's acknowledge that the consequences of slavery and Jim Crow laws are still affecting access to opportunity today. As a result, we should support systemic changes that create more equal opportunities for everyone. Increasing public school funding and making it independent from property taxes would be a great start so that poor and wealthy districts can receive equal access to resources. Systemic problems require systemic solutions. Luckily, we're all part of the system, which means that we all have a role to play in making it better. Peace.
Wow.
For those who may not be as familiar with the guest that we have today, let me just share a little bit about him to you, and then we're going to delve right on in with his conversation. That's Mr. Tyrone Best. He is CEO, founder of Wealth Builders Worldwide. In the networking world, Mr. Best is a world-renowned leader, speaker, and trainer. He is an author of 4 books and a member of the International Network Marketers Hall of Fame. Mr. Best has been a free man from corporate America for a quarter of a century. Along with his wife, Mrs. Valerie Best, a free woman since 1987, have developed a unique culture boasting more than 120,000 affiliates around the globe, known as Wealth Builders Worldwide, a collective of independent affiliates of Carabal's International. A family man, he's married with two free sons, Alex 35 and Gabe 20. The best household reflects more than 100 years of freedom under one roof. I don't find anyone more qualified to share this opportunity with you and the solution than Mr. Tyrone Best. Now, what we saw basically is, in a nutshell, Blacks' incomes are less than 40% less than whites. Wealth accumulation, 90% less than whites. Jobs and job creation, only 28% of the entire Black communities by late 1980s had good blue-collar jobs. That means the die was set to be systemic with this scourge known as poverty. Now, Poverty is punishment for a crime we did not commit, in case you don't know. So now, crisis and solutions. All right. 3 major financial crashes, 1987, 2000, and 2008 or 9. Those major crashes have placed the entire globe economically in the same boat. It leveled the entire playing field to clear the way to hear a voice of moral authority to produce the closure to that gap. We're looking at a universal and honest solution. So family, wealth builders and friends, how to close that wealth gap, we're going to hear right now from our CEO and founder of Wealth Builders Worldwide. He's going to show us what it is that we need to do. The next voice you will hear is Mr. Tyrone Best.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Brother Eric Teray Muhammad, for that introduction. When somebody do an introduction like that, it humbles me and make me go, wow, okay. I don't know if I can live up to that introduction, but anyway, I'll do my best. Let me say this. First, I want to welcome everybody. I want to thank Mr. Muhammad for inviting me on this platform. Man, you guys are fired up every morning. So, I'm just honored to be here, number one. Let me cover a couple things real quick, and then we'll get to the solution. Because I want to talk about the problem a little bit, because contrary to what people think, this is not a race conversation. And the wealth gap, yes, there's a distinctive wealth gap between the African American community and the European community. Okay, but it goes deeper than that. So, Mr. Muhammad, if you allow me, I want to touch on a couple things real fast. We had another video. I said, let's don't show that video. I sort of recap some information that blew my mind over the weeks. I've been researching stuff, and I've been fired about the wealth gap really for about 20 years. That's one of the things that got me fired about networking, a network marketing as a company, as a concept anyway, because I saw it as the one thing that could close the wealth gap. And then along comes this thing called carrier bobs. And let me break down some things. First thing, I want you to write some things down and keep this in mind. This is simple. Yes, there is a wealth gap. They said the average European family's net worth is $100 for every $10. That's a simple thing to remember. $100 for every $10 of net worth in the African American community is $100 of net worth in the white community. That's 10 times more. Okay, the video showed you it was systemic. But let me show you something else that's going to sort of really bridge this gap and let you understand this is not a race issue. Society and the powers that be in the 1% will have you think it's a race issue. But I want to go back in history a little bit to a video I saw this week. And I know I sent out to a lot of folks, and some of you saw this, but I'm gonna do the overview. And the video I sent out this week is called "The Invention of the White Man." Now, don't anybody just hang on for a minute. Let me touch this subject so you'll see. One of the things that we got to do in order to deal with racism in America and systemic racism is we got to have an open and honest conversation about it. We can't move forward about it until there's an open and honest conversation. This atmosphere we've experienced in the last 5 months between COVID and the unrest has created an atmosphere where this dialogue is taking place. And so, but I want to enter this dialogue about the wealth gap because we need to delve back into history, understand what's going on. And look, they said the invention of the white man. When I first saw this video, I said, oh, gracious. I said, another one of the videos about somebody coming from another. I didn't know where this one lady was coming from. Jacqueline Badalori, I think her name is. I know where she's coming from this video, right? And then she said the concept of the white man was not invented until 1681. That blew my mind. She says, nowhere in documented history, world history, has there ever been such a thing identified as the white man. It was a political economic construct created in 1681 after Bacon's revolution. He said, now, what revolution? Because I mean, all my history classes, I was never taught about this revolution. I grew up in Virginia. I know all about Virginia history. I knew about the Declaration of Independence. I knew about patterns of racial. I knew about the Constitution. Man, I'm right here in the bed of U.S. history, right here in Virginia. But I never heard about that revolution, because that revolution is not talked about, because that revolution was the first true revolution in this country, because it united all the workers in the colonies. Okay, regardless of so-called ethnicity. That wasn't even an issue until this revolution. You understand? I'm talking, when I say it wasn't an issue, it was not, race was not even a concept. They were just people. There were people of African descent, there were people of European descent, there were people of Native Americans. They were all here working together, building together, and wait a minute, coming in as indentured service, some enslaved, but indentured service. And that's right, black folks, people of African descent, had people enslaved, had indentured servants. They married interracially. In fact, one of the challenges going on at that time too was, for every so-called 5 European women, most of them were married to men of African descent. No issue whatsoever. Okay, I mean, it was not even an issue. They worked together, did all. It was not an issue. But when those folks united and went against the 1% and said, "Look, this is nonsense. We've been abused. We've been abused by indentured servitude. We've been abused by slavery." And the United Labor Force said enough is enough and started a rebellion, which I had never read about, that lasted over a year. Great Britain had to send in troops. Okay. This country was predominantly, by the way, dominated by men of English descent. Okay. We're talking about Virginia, Maryland, primarily, the 2 main colonies. Now watch this. It took them over a year to quash that rebellion. When they did, they said, "We can never let this happen again." I want you to hear what I'm saying. They said, "We can never let the masses of people ever unite again." One of the most dangerous things that's happening right now is you got the mass of people uniting all over the world, protesting a common issue. Black Lives Matter. It's never happened. You got the whole world is up in arms. Okay. I'm gonna get back to that. That's not what it talks about. Now watch this. They said, we got to devise a new strategy. And their strategy was called divide and conquer. I mean, it's written down, it's documented that they told England, we're gonna devise a new strategy here in the colonies, and that the strategy is called divide and conquer. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a status and elevated status. I didn't say elevated position. I didn't say more money. I said an elevated status called the white man. Okay. And then we're going to take the so-called people of African descent, and we're going to put them at the bottom of that level of society. So you got people of African descent, you got people of European descent, or more primarily English descent. And then you got that 1% that controls all this, that want to see all this happen. Now, I'm going to a point. Because when I heard this, it blew my mind. And so they started instituting laws at that very point about marriage, about race relations, about working. They did a whole bunch of laws. And one of the first laws they also instituted was, yes, they banned interracial marriage between English women and men of African descent. No other groups, just African descent. Banned that. Okay. They put in stricter indentured servitude laws. They put in stricter laws, and then they took arms away from, wait a minute, men of African descent who've been running around with arms and guns for the entire time since they've been here. They said they can no longer control weapons. Then they instituted all kinds of laws to create this second level of citizenship of people of African descent. Okay. And then they created laws that establish positions, authority, and all those things, such as, no one of African descent can testify against an English man. All those things were put in place. If a woman decided to marry an African a man, she lost her citizenship. All kinds of things were put in place. But here's the most important point. And you can go watch the video yourself and get all this. Here's the point that blew my mind. 1% institute those laws, folks. And watch this. In 400 years, yes, what those laws did was they didn't close the wealth gap between the poor and the have, or the haves and the have-nots. The 1% remained the 1%. It gave the white status, people who were perceived as white, a illusion that they had risen in society, they were privileged in society, when in reality, the only relationship and connection they had with the 1% was they were of the same complexion. That's it. Then watch this. But it plummeted the African American community. This is back in 1681, 1700s, and when all those laws institute. Here's the most important point. This is what I'm leading to, folks. This is going to blow your mind because it blew mine. And I like to say, I read 2-3 books a week, and I never read this. So I've been reading about the wealth gap and talking about it for 20 years. And watch this. In that 400 years since all those laws were instituted, it has not closed the wealth gap between the 1% and average white folks, not 1 percentage point. See, this is another perception instance. Understand, affluent, yes. More net worth, yes. But the wealth gap has not closed one bit between that 1% that control the planet and, wait a minute, and all those white folks who are elevated to the illusion of another status. It's changed their net worth, but it has not closed that gap. I hope you understand that gap between that 1% that have dominated this planet for the last 400 years and everybody else. That truth, I had to sit down and start to think about what I just heard. That even with all this stuff going on, they divided and conquered all over the world, and the 1% still 400 years later are in charge and have not closed that wealth gap. And that's why you see as many poor people, okay, of European descent as you do of people of African descent or people of color. And then, of course, we could spend an hour talking about it was English-speaking people. Then they started to classify other Europeans as white folks too. Because when the Irish first came over here, they were not classified as white folks. Well, okay, when the Italians first came here, they were not classified as white folks. When Hungarians came over here, Polish people came over here, Jewish people came here, they were not classified as white. Okay? That was another political thing. I'm off that. That's the problem. The wealth gap is not closed for anyone. 1% have dominated the planet through politics and economics for the last 400 years. But there is a new sheriff in town, and it's called Carabas International. But you got to understand the power of what you have in your hands, folks. Okay? Carabas International is truly a system, a money system that can 100% close the wealth gap, not just for black folks, but for poor and people of other nationalities as well, all around the world. Here's a company with a 10-year track record almost, 1 million people already involved. We're not on trial, okay? And we've done more to affect the net worth of the average household than anything I've seen in my entire 65 years on this planet. I've spent 37 years in the network marketing business. I've understood that network marketing had the capacity to do those things, but not until Carabas to actually saw it in real effect. Why? Because in Carabas, for day one, anybody in 149 countries can, number one, enroll for free. So access to capital is not a requirement. Everybody can enroll. You have a degree, not a requirement. You going to college, not a requirement. You have enough felon does not prohibit you from opening up a gold savings account. You're not having a job does not prohibit you from opening up a gold savings account. There is nothing in the world to stop you from taking step one to closing the wealth gap. So I'm not one of those folks. I can't stand black folk talk about black folk problem summits. I like solutions. When I saw this industry 37 years ago, I saw a solution. Okay. Solution was I could start a business right now. In 1983, when I saw this network marketing concept, this is what I saw. I understood the importance of economics. I understood that America responds to money. This capitalistic country responds to money, and they respond to we have resources. We have resources, you have access. So step one, look, own your own home-based business. I saw that in 1983. I said, I'm in. Because I couldn't go to the Small Business Administration to get a loan. Thank God I didn't. I would have lost it because I didn't know what I was doing from an entrepreneur standpoint. Okay. So step one, I knew I could start right then and there. And that's what my wife and I did in 1983. We started our own business. Now, fast forward to 1987. We done market some of everything under the sun. Lotion, potions, pills, travel, everything under the sun for 37 years. And then 6 years ago, along comes Carabas and says, you know, we're operating online, internet, not affected by COVID-19, worldwide in 149 countries. You want to close the wealth gap? You don't have to go to a seminar to talk about it. You don't have to learn how to invest in real estate to do it. You don't have to start your entrepreneur, old brick and mortar business, 20th century technology idea about owning a business. Got to have your name. You can start right now today. If you're a guest on this call, you can start right now today, sign a free application, and you have a gold savers account. Let's stay there for a minute, okay? That operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can start saving gold. You say, I don't have any money. You can start saving gold 1/10 of a gram at a time. If you can find $6 or $7, you can start saving gold. Now, why do you want to start saving gold? I don't want to jump around too much, but we're going to get back to why you want to save gold. Let's just talk about closing the wealth gap in money for a minute. So when you start saving gold, gold is an asset. You heard the video where the speaker said a home is the #1 asset that transfers wealth from family to family. That's why that systematic racism was put in place so that we could not transfer assets from family to family. Then the first thing you got to do, you got to qualify to get a loan to acquire that asset, especially in the last 30, 40 years with home values inflated prices because of the dollar devaluing going up. So the average home that is over $100,000 in most cases. So you need a loan to get that home, so you blocked out that process. So you can do that, okay? But here comes Caraboss said, okay, let's understand that. But watch this. We have a tier 1 asset with no risk. So we enroll for free. All we ask for is a name, a phone number, and your email. And your account is set up. It's easier to open up a gold savings account with Caraboss International than it is to go to a traditional bank and open a bank account. That bank account now, your account with Caraboss International is now open. Wait a minute. And anyone can do it in 149 countries. So everybody should have a gold savings account. Everybody. Why? Because we should do what the wealthy do, not what they say. And the wealthy store their wealth in what? Gold. Why they say the wealth in gold? Because gold is a tier 1 asset, folks, that appreciates in value. And the purchasing power of gold is retained. You can take an ounce of gold today, buys the same thing an ounce of gold did 1,000 years ago. That's what gold is. Gold is God's money. It's real money. It is the only real money, recognizes real money all over the planet, not dollar bills. So now, everybody should have a gold savings account, regardless of the business. Let's just talk about everyone should have a gold savings account. #1, you can start saving gold right now today. You don't have to go ask anybody's permission. You don't have to check with your boss. You don't have to check with your sister, your cousin. You can make that decision right now. It's a choice. Okay, you don't have to go back to school. You don't have to go educate to get a Series 6, Series 7 license. You can start your gold savings account right now, and you can start day saving 1/10 of a gram at a time. You can save more. Okay, and that's an asset that can will appreciate in value. 2013, my wife heard that gold is money. We had never saved one dime of gold. 59 years on the planet, we made millions of dollars in the industry, and not one financial advisor, because they didn't know. Not one ever told us start saving gold. Not one. Okay. Gold in 2013 was $1,100 an ounce. Now gold's over $1,700. For all those who've been involved in Caraboss for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or on this call, you know your net worth has gone up. I don't care if it's gone up for 1,000. We have people every single day tell us they've saved more money in the since they've been in Caraboss than they have their entire 40, 50, 60 years on the planet. And then the gold appreciates. The dollar won't, but the gold will. This is why everybody should have a gold savings account. So #1, you get that done. You know you can do that. Everybody should have one. That's why when Caraboss said, we're going to put 1 billion people in Caraboss to have a gold savings account. First time Jordan Povermuller said that, I said to myself, oh my God, I thought 10 million. I know that'd be, look, no networking company's ever had 10 million distributors, 10 million affiliates. I said, okay. I was 10 million. In my mind, I thought I was thinking big. He said, no, we're going to put 1 billion people in this thing. Because it's like everybody has a debit card or a savings account. Everybody should have a gold savings account so they can save real money. And that's Caraboss' claim to fame, is that Caraboss made gold accessible to the masses, regardless of ethnicity. So this is not a talk about black folks and white folks. This is a talk about folks on the other side of the track who said, how do I get on the wealthy side of the track? How do I attain freedom like Brother Eric Teray talked about? How do I get that? Now, you started your gold savings account. That's step 1. Now, how do you become independent? Put yourself in a position to become free. You do that by sharing the same message I'm sharing with you right now. That's it. All we do is save a lot of gold. We tell a lot of people and make a lot of money. That's it. There's no requirement. Nobody's a boss. It's your business. Yes, it's your gold savings account, but it's also your business. You now have started a business that you can expand in 149 countries, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can do it all from this laptop I'm talking on right now. We're on StreamYard, I believe. You can be on Zoom. Okay, you can be on your phone. I mean, I do most of my business right here on this phone, right here. 90% of what I do is right here on this phone. So you see that slide right there? So what? Tell a lot of people. Save a lot of gold first. See, one of the things I love about what we do is unlike traditional business. If I want to start a brick and mortar business, I got to go somewhere or take my own money, take my own 50 or 100,000 or 200,000, 300,000, 500,000 and put that on the table, okay, in hopes of getting a return. I mean, you understand the traditional business out there, most of them don't make much more than $50,000 to $150,000 a year. You can take and invest $1.5 million to $2 million in a McDonald's franchise, and the average McDonald's owner makes $150,000 a year. Okay. And until you've made $150,000 a year, you realize how little money that is. Okay. I see Grace that's saying, Carrie Bars, put your position to be your own bank. See, if you got $5,000, $10,000 in gold, you can borrow against your gold. You don't have to go to borrow from anybody. You don't have to go to the bank to borrow. Okay, don't get me off track. Lord have mercy, Grace. I almost went off. I started to go down a rabbit hole right there. I'm gonna stay on these 3 dots, Brother Muhammad, and then I'm gonna stop, man. You got to come in and stop me. But let me say these 3 things. We say tell a lot of people, folks. It's not about you becoming a salesperson. You don't become me. You have to become Mr. Muhammad. You have to become Mr. Dalco. You have to become any of the leaders in the world of Wealth Builders Worldwide. We're just getting started. We've created a system that allows you to tell people what we do. You're not telling about Carrie Bars. You're not doing this talk I'm doing here today. All you have to do is drive them to a live presentation that's taking place 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock, 6 days a week, and a fast track training on Sunday. That's literally all you got to do. And you're going to earn and learn at the same time. So let me recap, brother. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Brother Eric, because you know I can go on forever about this stuff. Number 1, start your own savings account. Number 2, say, well, okay, now watch this. You may start and open that savings account and say, well, look, I want to save gold, but I'm not going to tell anybody. Let me explain something to you. When you understand the true value of gold, that gold goes up in value, that everyone should be saving gold, you will come under condemnation. You will feel guilty if you don't tell somebody. We ain't trying to sell you anything. We're trying to tell you some truth. Once you understand the value of gold, the real value of gold, like the wealthy 1% do, you're going to save gold all the time. And once you understand that, we don't have to call you. There's no quota. There's no mandatory amount. You will save gold on your own every chance you get. And once you understand that, you're going to tell everybody you know every chance you get. Whether they understand or not, don't let that be your problem. Your challenge is you're on I'm on conviction. I'm not up 8 o'clock in the morning. That's why I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, cranked up. Read a book this morning, got me fired up. Okay. I tell people because I feel an obligation to tell people what I've learned at 59 years old. I'm excited every time somebody 18, 19-year-old get in this business. And I said, they're going to know but it took me 40 years to learn or 50, 60 years in this plan to learn. They're going to know now. Because if you leave this seminar, when you leave this presentation, if you only get one thing in your mind, gold is money. Good morning, Brother Jamil Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum. You won. If you got that in your brain, you never forget that gold is money. Don't let them convince you those dead bitches of money. They're currency. You need to pay bills, pay this, but gold is true money. Can't get ahead working for dollars and trying to save dollars. So all you got to do once you say, well, I'm going to tell people, you don't have to become an expert. You drive them to the experts on the presentation. You drive them to a thing like this every morning, 8 o'clock. My hat's off to you, Brother Eric Teray, man. I'm like, I can't do this every morning, 8 o'clock. I did set the alarm clock, though, just in case. The first time I set my alarm clock probably in 20 years, I set it just in case. Okay, but I was up at 5 o'clock, ready to do this, got a full day. Tell a lot of people to drive them to the system, and you make a lot of money. How much money? That depends on you. The only thing standing between you and making a lot of money now in Carrie Bars, once you know this information, is the size of your dream. That's it. Bro, I'm going to be quiet, man. You got a question or something? Because I don't want to rant for 35 minutes. I can. Oh, let me make sure I covered all my notes. Let's see. So the 1%, that gap never closed. We're under illusion. Not close the gap. And Carrie Bars is a solution. Carrie Bars is not just a solution for people of African descent. It's a solution for anyone who want to change their financial situation. And because it just makes sense, because everyone wins in Carrie Bars if you don't do anything but one thing, save gold you win. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Family, that is the epitome of keeping it simple. TheRealMoney.info, www.therealmoney.info gives you the overview of what Mr. Best was dropping on us today in this conversation. It's a powerful conversation, powerful presentation. Mr. Best, can you talk to us just briefly before we get out of here regarding group economics, the power of the wealth building strategy?
Well, let me say this too. I'm glad you asked me that. And by the way, I'm not in a hurry. My next appointment is at 10:45, the power call. Okay,
All
so
right.
I know where I got to go. Okay, so I'm done when you guys are done. Networking is about a group of people coming together to benefit the whole. You cannot succeed in this business without helping someone else succeed. It's fundamentally that simple. I make a statement, folks, all the time. Anytime you run across someone who says, I've tried that networking thing. And by the way, Carabar is not a network marketing company. It's a licensed e-commerce company operating in 149 countries. And what's the difference between a network marketing company and an e-commerce company? Well, we can't require you to do anything. Most networking companies got that with mandatory person requirement, mandatory this. We don't have any mandatory anything. You can't even quit Carabar if you wanted to because you don't have anything to quit. We don't require you to do anything. Okay? Like you're trying to quit Bank of America. You can't quit Bank of America. If you don't deposit the money, you just don't deposit the money. Okay? You understand? So now, here's where group economics comes in. When I run across people say, I tried that network thing, I never made any money. I say, you understand, I've been in this for 37 years. And here's what that means. That means you never helped anybody make any money. You never helped anyone make any money. They go, whoa, what? I said, that's the flat out truth. I hate to tell you, or change another way, no one's ever helped you make any money. Woo. Okay. See, so it's either way. You never helped anybody make any money, or no one's ever helped you make any money. Because you first started this business, you need help, folks. Why do we do these seminars all the time? Because we know we need help. You know why? Because we're so mixed up about money, and we don't know what money is. Okay, we are so self-conscious about money. We got all this stuff running through our head like money is the root of all evil, and it's easy to get to heaven, easy for a camel to get through the avenue, and a man to get, all that stuff in our head about money. We feel guilty about it. All that stuff is in our head. So we do these things to try to, our biggest challenge in getting people to do this industry, this business, is not the business. I just told you how simple the business is. Sign up for free, start saving gold. See? To do three things in Carabar to succeed. Watch this. Sign up. I say get a package. Start saving gold. What amount of gold should I save? Whatever amount you want to save. The more you save, the more you benefit. That's it. That's Carabar in a nutshell. So what's the problem? We got to deal with what's going on up here. So anyway, back to Mr. Muhammad's question. But we work as a team. Okay, we work as a team. So when I enroll somebody in the business, I can't make them succeed. I truly can't. I don't know the size of their dream. But I do everything in my power to help them succeed. Okay, I have hundreds of people, thousands of people in the organization who made thousands of dollars in the world of Carabars. Carabar's got a thing called matching bonus. Watch this. This will get that group economics thing. I've got as many as 300 plus matching bonuses a day. That means that 300 people that day on the team, on 7 generations, because the team is bigger than that, got paid. At least 300 that day. Okay. That's what I'm about, helping somebody. Now, it took me a while to get there. Don't nobody, you just got started last week. You're not going to see that. But every time you help someone on your team get a dual team payout, you'll get a matching bonus when you have a package. That's helping somebody succeed. So look, yeah, you made some money, but the more people you help make money. I hate these words. I don't like these words, I and mine, me and mine. I hate those words because it's such teamwork. But let's suppose we have people on the team. We might have over 20 people on the team last year that made over $100,000. That's helping people make money. See, it's not about me. Yes, I made some money, but because I got started, because somebody 6 years ago called me and I signed a free application, signed my wife a free application, got me a package, got her a package, got my 29-year-old son a package, and we got business. And well, let's go see who's interested. I started just like you were getting started. There was 300,000 people there before my wife and I got started. So for those who's thinking, well, I understand how the business works, you got to get in first, forget all that nonsense. See, forget what you think you know and forget what your ignorant friends think they know. They don't know. You don't know about this business on the outside looking in. You got to get in. And then you might have some opinion that was worth listening to. I don't mean to be too strong, Brother Eric. I had to throw it out there.
Oh, come on, some people don't get up that early, Mr. Best, so they need you to pour that hot coffee. Go on.
But let me say one last thing about the group economics and why. When I say everybody prospers, watch this. There's a brother out of California named Waziruddin Muhammad, and he created a term called recycling black dollars. This is important for you to know this now. Watch this. Because if you never heard this kind of conversation about recycling a dollar, when a community recycles a dollar, that community enriches itself. Okay, Waziruddin Muhammad created this phrase back in late 80s, early 90s called recycling black dollars. Now, it's not, they just created the phrase, the term, because people understood all before. This was done in Tulsa, it was done in Women's North Carolina, it was done all throughout America. I ain't gonna get into that history, but the point is this. I saw networking as the ultimate recycling of a dollar. Truly, it's more, look, a dollar's recycled more through networking than it'll be recycled through Walmart. It'll be recycled through traditional minutes. Let me give you an example, brother. Give me one more minute, brother. Watch this.
Just up for this.
You go to a traditional business on the corner. It could be a barber shop. Well, let me go back to the first thing. When I said what I mean by recycling black dollar, they say when a dollar gets into a European's hands, that dollar is cycled within their community 4 or 5 times. I don't mean now within the white community. I mean 4 or 5 times within their neighborhood community. 4 or 5 times before it ever leaves the community. Okay? 4 or 5 times before it ever leaves that 10 or 20 square miles. It's 4 or 5. It's going from the cleaners to the drugstore, to the car dealership, to the barber shop, to the beauty salon, to the grocery store. It's just recycling. Okay? Now understand. They said in the Asian community, it's 3 to 4 times before that dollar leaves the Asian community. I mean, it's going from one hand to the next hand, from one hand to the next hand. They doing business with each other. They understand the power of the dollar when they do business with each other. Even the Latino community, 2 to 3 times. They say in the African American community, the dollar recycles 0 times. Mm-hmm. As soon as we get a dollar, we run out and we spend it. And in most times, since we don't own the merchant and we don't own the store in the corner and we don't own the mall and we don't own the movie theater and we don't own the entertainment theater and we don't own the car dealership, that money is gone as soon as we get it. So in order for us to recycle the dollar, we must own businesses. And we already talked about the things that prohibit us from getting in traditional business. I'm not saying don't. There are a lot of businesses out there, but watch this. But in networking, you started one day, every single network marketing company out there pays anywhere from 25 cents to 40 cents back to the field in form of commission. So that means when that network marketing company takes in $1, it's going to send, let's say on the average, 30 cents every dollar it takes in, it sends back in the form of commissions. Now you're talking about recycling a dollar. Let's say I enrolled Mr. Muhammad and he enrolled about 10 other people. And this guy who just got in on the 10th level spends $1. 30 cents of that dollar is spread out amongst those 10 folks. That's recycling of a dollar. I did a audio, I think I sent it to you, Brother Muhammad, called Wealth and Recycling Black Dollars. I made that audio tape, folks, in 1991 because I understood how that wealth is regenerated as we as a team work as a team and we recycle those dollars. Yes, your upline may make something, but your upline is never going to make more off of your efforts than you do. That's the thing people got to get in mind. That's another psychology you got to deal with. People always been concerned about who's making money on them. Okay? That's one thing to stop. Look, I did the other day on the talk, Mr. Muhammad, I said, people are not concerned about who's making money because people know somebody, if you breathe in America, somebody getting paid.
That's right.
You just haven't figured out how to charge for oxygen yet. Somebody's working on it right now. Okay. But you know we're paying for water, right? So you're drinking water. Even the tap water you're paying for, somebody got paid. You go to the bathroom, somebody got paid. You brush your teeth, somebody got paid. When Mr. Muhammad bought that necktie, somebody got paid. Somebody's making money on everything you do in America. So the key for you is you got to put yourself in the way and the movement of money. That's why you be in business for yourself. That's why you be an entrepreneur. And then this business, Caraboss, is the ultimate way to put yourself in the movement of money. Why? Because number one, our product is money. And number two, there's no boundaries restricting what we do. I'm on the phone with a brand new person yesterday from Nigeria, I'm on Facebook connection. He's in Nigeria, all excited. I'm on the phone with people from Ghana, from New Zealand, from Australia, from Great Britain, all over the world. Man, this thing is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my lifetime, and I have to work very hard to keep myself calm. I do. I don't know what to say sometimes. I don't, Brother Muhammad, go ahead, man. Back to you.
When you introduced this initial conversation with our esteemed senior partner, Mr. Michael L. Dalco, and you first broached this subject matter with us recently, you all concluded that the number one source of intergenerational wealth is home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Now, through the 1930s, from the 30s through the 60s, there were policies in place to discourage just not blacks, but anything that wasn't considered white from the 1681 perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Discourage anybody from home ownership because home ownership produced
property taxes. Yeah.
Right. So you had equity, you grew in wealth through retirement, you had inheritance opportunities, you had the ability to put your children through college, you had the ability to take advantage of things. The GI Bill was a huge boon for America, but not for the so-called non-whites. So all these things were in place at that particular time of that particular era. Here's my point. Dr. Miles Monroe, when he was alive, he stated that crisis destroys tradition.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this American dream that was in place, that was systemic. It created haves and have-nots. But as other things grew, we had pandemics. We had 3 crashes. The crash of 1987 took out Lehman's and Bear Stearns and all those cats. Mm-hmm. Then in 2000, we had the .com bust.
Mm-hmm.
It took out WorldCom, MCI, all these places. Ooh. Thousands upon tens of thousands of people lost all of their potential inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
Millions more were out of work. Suicide rates were up. It wasn't even a suicide watch. People were jumping. People were pulling into their car, pulling in their garage, closing the door, and leaving the gas on.
Mm-hmm.
All kind of things happened with that debacle. Then you have 2008, 2009, The Big Short.
Mm-hmm.
And that destroyed the entire illusion
mm-hmm.
that America built around the world.
Mm-hmm.
The illusion, number one, their cash was money.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it exposed debt. It exposed the mortgage industry. It exposed that you really didn't own, you were just borrowing. And so with that being said, now Danny James brought it up. Now that the playing field has been totally leveled, crisis, as well as those who have been a part of it. It's like when they say the bottom rung comes to the top. Well, now everybody's on the same rung. How much easier is it to operate with a vehicle such as real money, and what can it do in that global dynamic? When you talk about group economics, when you circulate the money around the community or community, yes, it expands, it grows, it prospers. Mm-hmm. But how much more valuable is it to do it with what we have as an asset in your home?
Well, see, everything about Carabas in many ways is its own economic community. And it's becoming more so. That's the vision of Dr. Harold Seitz, okay? Meaning that we are inclusive in many ways. And I made a statement yesterday or Thursday night. I said, I feel guilty. And I said, well, no, I don't really feel guilty. But this is a very unique place that we're in Carabas, folks, because the whole world has got turmoil going on, COVID going on, bank concerns, cash flow concerns. All major kind of corporations are suffering and struggling and ask the government for money. And here we are in the world of Carabas going, wow, all that's going on over there. Why? Because we are an enclosed ecosystem and we are recycling the dollars in the family and all the things and products that Carabas creates. Create this vibrant community that's operating and growing in spite of all the things that's happening on a world scale. Okay. But also because that Christ on the world scale is creating a tremendous opportunity for all of us who see that vision, because we have a business that's operated 24/7 in spite of all this stuff that's gone on this year. I mean, I get people sending me stuff on Facebook and saying this year's been a total wreck. And I'm going, okay. It depends on what vehicle you're using, what vehicle you're on. It has been a total wreck for me. No, I'm sorry. Not the case. Okay. But now I've been prepared for a long time, been preparing for a long time. Okay. So I don't know if it answers your question or not, Brother Muhammad, but Carabaw's unique thing, and being a part of the Carabaw's economic community puts you in a unique place. And some of the new products we have come out with, from the telephone to, and we haven't spent any time talking about, I'm not going to talk a lot about the coin. I'm just going to say this. When I was having breakfast with Dr. Harold Seitz back in October 2017, and he said, we're going to create 20,000 millionaires. Now, I don't know of any CEO in the world that makes that proclamation, that would dare make that claim. That's not even on their agenda. They might say we're gonna have some happy stockholders, okay, but not we're gonna create 20,000 millionaires just like that. That's the game plan. Now I'm sitting there eating breakfast with the man. I'm going, okay, because you understand, I was already free. I was already substantial income in Carabaw's anyway, and he said that, but I didn't understand where he was going. That he was entering Carabaw's into the cryptocurrency space, and when he did, I mean, incomes went vertical. And then he entered us into the privacy telephone. Man, look behind me. I got, if you can see it, that's 4 phones right there that came in. And I got one still sitting in the box. I got 8 telephones in his house. People said, why you got 8 phones? I said, because every time I got a phone, they gave me over 50,000 coins. I wanted the coin.
That's true.
Coin is a wealth creator. Look, Brother Muhammad, his phone. That's right.
It's the Jeff Bezos edition.
Yeah. Okay, and privacy is in order. It's a state-of-the-art telephone. That's within our ecosystem. The laptop in our ecosystem, and we got more products and things coming out. I don't spend any time worrying about that. I spend all of my time, all my thought process on one thing: how do I build and expand this team? How do I get us to go from 100,000+ people to 1 million as fast as possible? Because, by the way, the more people on your team, the more money you're going to earn. That's just the truth. The person with the biggest team makes the most money. And so your number one objective, when your goal is freedom in this business, is to build your team. It's not to become a telephone expert. It's not to become a laptop expert. It's not to become a cryptocurrency training expert. It's not to become all that's great. You can learn all that kind of stuff. The number one thing you want to become professional at is how do you build your team from 0 to 100 people? How do you take that team from 100 to 1,000? And how do you take from 1,000 to 10,000, from 10,000 to 100,000, from 100,000 to 1 million? Now, by the way, now I'm in my learning curve, because I built 3 organizations over 100,000. But going from 100,000 to 1 million, now I'm in a whole nother learning curve. Okay, myself. People ask me, why do you read so many? I read 2 to 3 books a week. Why do you read all the time, Tyrone? I said, real simple. I'm looking for what I don't know. Because 65, I know what I don't know. I've learned that I don't know what I don't know. And in order to learn what I don't know, it's in a book. It's somewhere in a book. Okay, that's mine. So I can't learn from reading my book because I wrote it. Okay, I read this entire book this morning. I don't like to recommend it, but I'm going to tell you, I read it. Now, it's not going to teach you how to be your network marketing. It's going to teach you how to get your mind straight when it comes to making money. That was by Jim Rohn. It's a collection of essays. Many of you who've been around the industry, you know who Jim Rohn is. I saw it for the first time. It's been out for about a year. I said, I got to get it. I had Val ordered from Amazon. I got that thing, lost my mind. I read the whole thing in the last 24 hours. Woke up this morning, like 5 o'clock. I said, whoa, that's probably why I'm cranked up. Okay. Fired up, man. We got this thing, folks. Okay. And yes, everything starts with you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Don't get corporate. All this stuff going on in the news. Look, every time I'm on the phone with somebody who started talking about COVID-19, I know they're watching 3 hours of news every day.
Mm-hmm.
I know it. So it's, how you in the family? We doing fine. They said, you guys staying home? I said, I quarantined myself 25 years ago and I left my job. So I don't have to leave my house if I want to anyway. Oh, okay. Well, it's terrible. And they started in. I let them go on for about 4 or 5 minutes. I said, well, they been watch that news. And then I kind of say, now, if you don't watch that news every day, you won't be terrified by what's going on out there in the marketplace. Wear your mask if you choose to. Wear your gloves if you choose to. Disinfect if you choose to. I said, I'm not going to get in a conversation with you, but don't let that conversation paralyze you. Okay? We get too distracted by the noise. Okay? One of his chapters in his book says, focus. Says just focus. He said the biggest challenge we have as adults is to find a dream, something we want, and then just focus. So because as an adult, everything distraction, from the television to the news to sports to entertainment to family to social events, everything's distraction. You have to become almost fanatical to put that focus on and say, this I will do.
Okay, that brings up another point. Now, with the focus, it has to be coupled with a philosophy. I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. We all chased what we thought was money because we wanted to develop the income. All right. But when we chased it based upon the system that we were trained into. Mm-hmm. So coming into a world of opportunity, when you have to do for yourself to create the business, to create the income, to create the leverage and the security, what philosophy do we have to embrace in order to develop that focus, maintain that focus, and stay fired up to achieve?
Well, the first thing is, I'm gonna steal something that Mr. Delco said yesterday in a live stream he was doing with the union with Mr. Rodney Roach and Mr. Cameron Gamble. And he says, there's a difference between building a business and making money. If you build a business, you're going to make money. But if your goal is, I just want to make money, you never embrace the philosophy of you're building a business. That's a whole different mindset. Now I'm just trying to make some money. When you're trying to make some money, you'll hustle anything. You'll sell anything. You'll do anything, okay? You'll take any job. You're just trying to make some money. When you change that mindset, number one, is I'm building a business. Now, I want to build a business. What do I got to do to build a business? Number one, Danny James himself said what? Plug in. You got to, your mindset is, a speaker one time when I first said, what you know so far, what you've learned so far has gotten you where you are. Now, if you want to stay there, stop learning. But if you want to go to someplace else, you got to put something different in to take you someplace else. That's what plugging in is all about. So when you join this Wealth Builders family, I like to say we're no more than information brokers. We're constantly saying, plug in on a power call, get it on this. I mean, my hat's off to you, Brother Muhammad, for 8 o'clock every morning, 6 days a week. All he's doing is sharing information with you. You haven't sold anybody in the gold in the morning. You're not shipping out gold to people, are you, Eric? You're not shipping out gold. So you're not shipping out gold. You're not shipping out telephones. So what are you doing at 8 o'clock in the morning? You must be talking to folks trying to get this thing right, because we get this thing right, okay, they'll change their life. What we build in this business, I really believe in my heart. We build people, and once you build people, people will do what? Build a business. We got to work on building people, and everybody come in at a different place, okay? If we don't change this, nothing changed, okay? I quote Malcolm X. Malcolm X said what? He said, look, you got to change this thing. He said, if you take a person with a ghetto mind and put them in Beverly Hills, you give them 1 year to 2 years, they'll turn Beverly Hills into the ghetto because this hasn't changed. Okay? Dr. Naeem Akbar said what? Everything starts with the community of self. Woo! You got to work on this in order to change this. This is what it is. You ain't got no control over this, but when you change this, you'll start to change this. You'll look at this outside world differently, and you will change your environment. So everything starts. What's the book's all about? Changing this. What's that about? Changing this. Okay? Everything starts with self first. Valerie said the other night, look in the mirror first. Start with you. And then the whole outside world starts to change as we change the stuff we put in our minds. And we change stuff put in our minds by being on a power call, listening, by picking up a book all the time. Yeah, I read 2 to 3 books a week. Been doing it for years. Okay? And it scares me to think all the books I've read, not one book, all the financial books I read, not one book ever said gold is money.
Mm-hmm.
Just that simple. Now, I understand. I learned in 1983, I understood being in business for yourself since I got out of college. I got that. Okay, I had to find a business. I started looking for some kind of business to be in from the first time I got out of college, and one of my multi-millionaire Ford dealers set me aside and said, look, Tyrone, you're never going to become wealthy working for Ford Motor Company. He said, well, he said, you got to own your own business. Now, he didn't tell me how to do it. He didn't tell me what to do. He just said, you got to go in business for yourself. And he pulled me aside, Brother Eric. And see, look, see, that's what I'm saying. I ain't got no issues against no one because I learned so many things. I see, Lord Hammers, give me a minute. Let me tell you guys something, okay? Because sometimes I go on these rants and somebody, next time I know somebody clip a clip out this, say Tyrone is so pro-black, he anti-white and all that garbage. That's garbage, okay? I learned a lot of things. A lot of things I learned because I was integrated into society. Thank God I was. Okay, and I got that job with Ford Motor Company, and it put me in an environment that was different than the environment I grew up in. I was so unknowledgeable about money, Brother Eric, when I got my first job at Ford Motor Company, and they told me it's going to pay me every 2 weeks. I thought I was going to starve to death. Mm. Now, watch. You say, why? Because I was just living Friday to Friday paycheck. My whole family, we grew up, every Friday was payday, and by Monday we was broke. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Now, some of you may not relate to that. That was my household. Friday was payday, and by Monday and Tuesday out of money, hoping to make it to Friday. So when Ford Motor Company told me it's going to pay me every 2 weeks, I was like, oh, God, how am I going to make it? I didn't understand. It had to do everything with the money. I could make the money last 2 weeks. I said, oh, my God, I'm only going to get money twice a month. I said, literally, this thought went through my brain. I was making more money in my first job than my mother and father made combined, but I still thought I was going to starve because they're going to pay me every 2 weeks. I'm going to think this. So I had to grow past that. Thank God. I got an environment. Then, wait a minute, and you talked on something, man, brother. Look, when I started working side by side with people of European descent, I don't want to use that term white anymore because I know it was a false illusion created to fool white folks and black folks, okay? When I started working beside Europeans, right, now in my family, Eric, I don't know about yours, Brother Eric, with my family, when somebody died, we scrambled to put the money together to bury them, right? And so, whoo, got past that. Everybody, the whole family raised some money to bury them, right? So I'm working beside these Europeans, and every time somebody died, this is what they do. They bury them, and then they be on the side drinking champagne, celebrating. They said, well, you going to get the house? I take the 2 cars, and mama left me $100,000. I was like, I'm going. I said, oh, okay, wait. What happened here? They said, well, my father passed away, and he left the house to me and my brother, so we're going to sell the house and split the proceeds on the house fully paid for. They said, no, wait a minute. I'm talking to my wife. So how'd you get your first house? Well, my parents gave me the down payment for it on our wedding day. My parents, wait a minute, some of them, their parents even bought them a house as a wedding gift. I said, what world have I been living in? I'm on the other side of the tracks for real. Every time somebody died, in almost every case, now I was working in corporate America, so these were fairly affluent folks. I understand there are some Europeans on the other side of the tracks got the same channels we got, but I'm working there with Ford Motor Company, Toyota Motors. I'm working beside people who have been to Cornell, been to Yale, went to Harvard. These are highly educated, well-paid folk, and they're second, third, fourth generation folk. Okay, I worked beside one person, told me very clearly her relatives came over on a Mayflower. And she was just bumming around in the job because she didn't need it. Okay, I can tell you some stories, man. But now I'm blessed because it put me in an environment to learn some things. When you heard the story about when I was sitting in class beside, I'm saying, I feel by the grace of God I'm here because I was around some folks like the first people who told me to be in business for myself. You got to own a business. Then I'm sitting in class behind Buell Ford, sitting in class with Buell Ford III. So I'm sitting right beside one of Henry Ford's great nephew. And this guy just blew my mind. I mean, you heard me tell the story when I asked him, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but he was you know, every day he's dressed and just suits look so good, made my suits look cheap. And they wear little $200 Brooks suits. I thought I was rolling. So I sat beside him. And I'm looking at suits and finally we started talking. I said, man, where you getting them suits? And he casually said, well, Tyrone, you know, most of my suits are custom made. I picked the material out for the fall and material out for the spring. And I sent it to my designer, my tailor in Italy. He makes me about 2 suits for the spring and 20 suits for the fall. And then next year I give him away. He said as casual as the store. That's what we had conversation about 2 days ago, brother. I said to him, I said, man, how much money you got? He said 35, $40 million, like 35, maybe $40 million. He was 37 years old. He never worked a job in life. He was in class with me and accelerated to the vice president of the family business. Family business for motor, family business. So 35 or 40 million. And brother, I said to him, this is my last story for the day. I'm serious. I said, man, you know how much money you have? And his guy was so unassuming. He said, Tyrone. He says, you know how much money you have? You don't have enough money. He says, if you want your money, you don't have enough money. He said, look, my money and stocks, real estate, and all. One day I'm worth 40, next day I'm worth 30. He said, but I don't feel it. I was like, where? I knew exactly how much I had. I had
going on. An echo is going on. I think it's on your the mic.
Okay, I don't know what causing it. But
I think you're good at that range.
Okay. I hear the echo myself now. Okay, my phone's not on. So I don't know where it came from. Hey, look, man, I'm gonna stop. I'm getting that real. I knew, and it taught me something. And the point I'm getting at Karatbars is this. After 65 years of playing Karatbars, I truly have no idea what my net worth is, how much money I have. Because it fluctuates from day to day. That's what Karatbars is going to do for you. That's my point. Because you're earning now gold. Think about this, you get paid in cash and in gold. And all other kinds of incentives and stuff that take place. So before you know it, after a few years in Karatbars, you got so much gold, you can barely keep up with that. You're earning gold, you're getting free gold. Then you got money. You just don't know. And then throw the coin to the picture. You really don't know. You're sitting right now. The coin. Look, somebody asked me this. When you think the coin's gonna be $1? I said, I don't know. I said, but when it goes to $1, I'm be happy. I'm be ready. And when it goes to $5, I'm be ready. When it goes to 10, I'm be ready. Okay. I know right now it has a net worth right now. I'm happy about the net worth right now because see, you know, I got quite a few coins, and so even at penny. I'm like, it's more. Hey, look, please, folks, let me say this. I'm trying to tell you guys. I want you to feel me here. Here's what you need to leave after all this conversation. Karatbars puts you in a position to be in business for yourself and push you in a position to get more. Don't talk about being wealthy or free just yet. Just get more. I got started in this industry in 1983 to get more. I was doing okay, but when the guy said I could take that television time, that football watching time, that discoing time, and get more, I got excited. Okay? You don't have to oversell this thing. The average family would love to make an extra $200, $300, $400 a month from home. And once they get to $400, $500 a month, you know what happens? You realize if I can make 500, I can make 1,000. In fact, I just read that in Jim Rohn's book. He says he was using sales and things. He said once you go sell something, if you sell 3 of them, you realize you can sell 10. When you sell 10, ambition started to take, so you realize you can sell 20. Well, it's the same thing as business. Once you make $100, you realize, well, dog, you got to do the same thing you did to make 100 to make 300. You got to do the same thing to make 1,000. Right now, let's say I don't talk about goals, but let's just say this. Well, to take this organization from 100,000 to 1 million, I got to do the same thing I did to get it to 100,000. Go talk to new people. I still sponsor. I still just had a new person sign up here. I still enroll people. Every chance I got, I enrolled over 200-something people. I'm not a beast like Mr. Delco. He's enrolled over 500. Or Mr. Eric Muhammad. Mr. Eric Muhammad enrolled about 400-500 people. Tanisha Glassford, 600 people. Man, woo. Okay, but I do all right. Yeah, you ain't got to compare yourself to anybody else. You're in a race by yourself. So, man, bro, I appreciate being here. I'm sorry to be so verbose, but I hope that story made sense, because I'm saying that my association, my assimilation into the European culture exposed me to a lot of things that made me understand what's possible, that you can build a legacy. You don't have to die. I mean, some folks, you understand now, they don't know that it's possible to leave something for your kids. They don't know, because they know, I mean, we got a lot of different challenges coming in from for whatever reason. But think about this for a second. If you don't do anything with save gold and you pass away 2 years from now, at the very least, you can have 30, 40, 50 grams of gold to leave for your family. Or they can take the 30, 40, 50 grams of gold and bury it. Somebody asked me the other day, said, you have death insurance. I said, yeah. He said what kind? I said, about $50,000 of cash. I said, what? I said, see, I don't need to pay for death insurance. If I ain't got to pay some insurance company to take care of me in the event of my death, if I got the cash, if I can pay for it myself, why I got to pay insurance company $50 a month to bury me if I can pay for it myself?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, it's, okay. And everything I do that drives me, and by the way, let me say this, because I don't want to leave out time of this. All this is great. I'm reading Jim Rohn's book again. He said what I said. You've got to get a dream. You got to do your why. See, all this is great information. I'm going to do a talk this afternoon on the Chronicles. I would encourage you to be there, because, man, I'm fired up for them too. I got a talk, and it talks about first comes the emotion and the knowledge. They go together to create action. And watch this. If you have all the knowledge and no emotion attached to that knowledge, you don't do anything. Okay? And I guarantee you, some of you right now, you got people who've been studying Carabas for 6 months, for a year. They ain't done nothing. But if they want to talk about it, they can talk about it for days, because they don't have anything, the emotion that drives them. Okay? Everything starts with the dream. And the dream is emotional. Okay? I mean, people say, I don't get emotional. Yes, you do. If you're married, you get emotional about your wife. If you got kids, you get emotional about your kids. Well, you got to develop that same kind of emotion about your dream and your why. Okay? The Dream Chaser Manifesto is about firing up that dream. Because when you get that dream, that thing that you want, man, look, when I was shown freedom, God knows you heard me talk about 1,000 times. Okay? I didn't want another car. I had 4 in the driveway. I didn't want a new house. I had a house. I don't need a pool, but I had a pool. I got 5. That guy said freedom. That was something I didn't have. And no matter how hard I worked at Ford Motor Company or at Toyota Motor Sales, I was never going to be free. I was never going to have time and money. I said, oh my God, time and money? Ooh, I could sleep past 8 o'clock. Eric, get me up 8 o'clock in the morning. And that's, by the way, that's another one of those things, folks, that you're going to learn. When you get free, you can't sleep. See, you can sleep when you're waking up to go do that job Eric talked about earlier for somebody else. But boy, when you get a dream and you free, I wake up every morning. I'm serious, guy. I wake up every morning between 4:30 and 6 o'clock every single morning, 7 days a week, with nowhere to go except Facebook and maybe read a book. Anyway, I enjoyed being here, folks. I hope I said something to move somebody. Get a dream. Get fired about your kids. All the gold I saved for my sons. Okay? I don't really have a desire for any particular material thing. I mean, people ask me, when are you going to buy your Rolls Royce? I said, I could have bought the Rolls Royce 10 years ago. But my brain just kicks in and says, well, I want a $400,000 car to sit in my driveway. I don't go nowhere. It just don't make sense. I did it. I had a couple $100,000 of cars sitting in the driveway. And look, I got one right now that's, let me tell you, this is true. So I got a car that's 18, 19 years old, right? One of the cars. The car got like 70,000 miles on it. It's 19 years old. Don't go nowhere. Okay? Anyway. So, okay, oh man, I'm telling you.
That actually speaks volumes to the gap. Now, I saw a stat that in the late 70s, 28% of all black fathers owned a car. Only 28%.
Yep.
On the vehicle. And so when the jobs moved from inner city to suburbs where we didn't live, then it made it more difficult to maintain work or employment to bring an income home. All right. They saw the trend reversing for themselves, so they brought it more in-house to build their community and keep it in their community. Okay. That was the strategy then. Okay. When you look at the fact that Mr. Best is able to tell you about a vehicle and allow that vehicle to sit, you know, I go into neighborhoods I used to go into neighborhoods to I see a vehicle for sale. I'll go check it out. Sometimes they'll say they used to be advertised one time owner.
Yeah. And
I would go and see this car. This car might be 13, 14 years old with 9,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
3,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Well, my grandmother got it before she died, and I didn't need it because I drive this and I drive that. Yeah. Well, that became my upgraded hoopty. I'd be right back in the neighborhood rolling, you know. So we understand those things. And for him to share this, I don't want you to look at it as the impossibility. I want you to look at it as the opportunity as it is. Because when you're exposed to a dream, when you're exposed to real planning for yourself, for your future, let me just share it this way, and we're going to wrap up with Mr. Best. Inside every human being, there's another one waiting to come to the stage. Everyone. I looked at my son Ezekiel Farrakhan. This is his hat. He told me to make sure I had it here, Mr. Best. Okay, so I'm watching him on his PlayStation. And he's playing this game, and you know, it's a television video game, and he's playing and he's yelling to his friends and he's cheering back and forth. I mean, real animated, just excited. He's 16. And I'm watching him. And I couldn't see what he was doing. All I could see that inside of that 16-year-old, there's a 30-year-old coming. How well have I prepared him to take the stage? Inside of each one of you, if you're 60, there's a 70-year-old waiting. If you're 70, there's a 72 waiting. If you're 90, there's 120 waiting. What will you do now, today, to prepare them to take their place on the stage? Are you going to doom your legacy by not being active now, getting in where you fit in now? So where you're more agile, where you're more fit, where you're more limber in mind, body, soul, and you can do those things so that when that time comes to the stage, you don't come trying to do the things you should have done now with aching knees, with hungered backs, with maybe not all the faculties in place. You want this stuff to be in place. So just remember, generational wealth is not just the generations beyond us. That's the goal. That's an end game. You also have generations inside of you that need to be prepared and ready at each stage. Closing thoughts, Mr. Best, before I go to housekeeping notes.
You just said, I'm going to say this. I heard one time before it says, you will pay the price for failure or you're going to pay the price for success. But you are going to pay the price. So you're going to pay the price for one or the other. You're going to pay the price for success, which is now immediate, take the action now, or you'll pay the price for failure later. And Val and I, we feel so blessed and humble because at 20, somebody showed us a dream. And we ran for 12 years. And we've been free for 25. And we here right now, 65. My heart goes out right now for anybody 65, 70 years old who got to go sell their time for money. Okay? What care about the position do is you may be 65 or 70, still selling your time. That's okay. Don't live in life of regret. Just do what you can do to change your life now and to change your young folks' life. If you can do anything to your grandchildren, your children right now, even if they don't respond yet, make sure you do two things. Gold is money, and they know the difference between an asset and a liability. I like Candace Cox. You know, she knows between an asset you have to. An asset takes money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. When you know those two things, you're on the pathway to success, financial success anyway. There's other things to success besides money, but you're on the path to financial success. When you understand just that alone, Brother Muhammad, that your car is a liability, okay? Your house is a liability. That jewelry you put in your ears, around your neck, all that's liabilities, okay? You buying tennis on credit, liabilities. All those are liabilities. Gold is an asset that you can accumulate that appreciates in value, and put that focus on acquiring as much gold as you possibly can and surrounding yourself with assets that produce appreciating value or produce income. That's Karatbars in a nutshell. Thank you very much for being here, guys. I appreciate your time, and I'm fired up because we got 10:45, 12 o'clock presentation, 1 o'clock Chronicles, and then I'll be back here tonight at 9 o'clock with a live presentation. So thank you, Brother Eric. Thank you for promoting the book. I would encourage everybody to get as many books you possibly can, get your team to help them get in the mindset to go chase their dream. Thank you, Brother Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. And with that being said, a few housekeeping notes, therealmoney.info, www.therealmoney.info. The Dream Chaser Manifesto can be found at shop.mywbw.net. That's shop.mywbw.net. And Saturday, July 11th, I'll be doing a live event, Gold, a Simple Wealth Building System. It's on many of the Facebook pages. Hope you're able to be there. 10:45 a.m. Eastern is the mighty super power call in the house. I don't know who has it today, but whoever has it is going to be boss. And then at 12 noon is our live presentations, 12 noon. And then at 9 p.m., Mr. Tyrone Best will be on the set handling the ones and twos, telling you the story of how Karatbars got his glory. You saw a clip earlier. That's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said there was some sound problems. However, July 4th, NOI.org. NOI.org, he will be speaking to the world called The Criterion. Blessed is he who set down the discrimination upon his servant, that he might be a witness to the nations. That'll be Saturday, July 4th. That's also Danny D. Jane's birthday, so we're going to be celebrating that too. So July 4th, 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Those in Europe, European Union area, 4 p.m. Central. I'm sorry, 4 p.m. rather, UK and points of West Africa. Our 90-day run to wealth is still going on. So you have your opportunity to jump in there. Text your full name, email address, and the message 90 to 404-246-5708. Subscribe to the channel, Eric Teray Muhammad, please. I'd appreciate it because it allows you to find those things you might be missing on your streams. You can find it chronicled and categorized there for your pleasure. Family, I thank you again for attending another wonderful, powerful, impactful, historical classes in session. Thank you, Mr. Tyrone Best. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for the honor of sharing this platform with us. We're extremely grateful, and you'll find all of us grateful because we know our world is better because you and Miss Valerie came. Thank you so much for the opportunity. All right, family, take a screenshot of that. Make sure you get it. www.mywbw.net is your virtual encyclopedia to everything wealth building. You can't lose with the stuff we use. We know the world can't win in the shape they're in. Let's go.
Strong words. Love. Soul. And change. Yeah. Big Snoop Dogg. Coming at you live and direct. And I got something to say. You dig?
Let's change the world today. But you know let's change the world. No fights, no wars. Oh, let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Whoa, let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's change the world. Let's make hope for the future.
Brother, what will you discover if we come together and do it like we never? I'm just sick and tired. I'm fit to light the fire. Now put this on the wire. The devil is a liar. I do this with no hesitation. Meet me at the reservation. Elevating, educating, meditating, concentrating. Replenish ya, finish ya, opposite of sinister. And I do it for the minister.
Let's change the world. Divide if we fall, unite we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars, so let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. 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 Let's make hope for the future.
Somebody need to stop the war. Man, the war ain't overseas, it's at your front door. And I done seen too many brothers shot up on the floor for more than drugs and some colors. And now you call us warlords. But if you can help it, then help it. But you ain't helping us. You so selfish and selfless, you wanna see us breathless and helpless. But I'ma hustle to tussle for all my brothers who struggle. Yeah, we bang the world. Now let's change the world.
Let's change the world. Divide if we fall, unite we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars, so let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. 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 Let's make hope for the future.
No killing, no shooting, no dying, no lying, no gang banging, so no more mamas crying. Everybody get along, man, that be the perfect song. Peace in the streets as I sit back on my phone, chilling with the president. He let me in the White House. Back to the castle with the minister, no doubt. Shoes at the front door. Love is what you come for. Let's get it right and unite, but do it front
Let's
so.
change the world. Divide if we fall, but unite we stand. Let's change the world. No fights, no wars, so let's learn to love again. Let's change the world. 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 Let's make hope for the future.
All of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many. And the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply. And the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful. So that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of life, then it is easy for another human being to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. The government is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids the woman to do is the thing that degrades her. So how high can you go? High as you want to. Why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's word is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace, under real freedom, real justice, and real equality.